MLB has entered the dog days, and everything that can go wrong has. We have players going after other players, players going after teammates. We have two rivals going after each other and for a division title, managers going after umpires, while one of his pitchers apparently is going after him. We have a player who is arguably having the greatest season of all time going after a playoff spot and failing. The two highest paid players apparently don't like each other and are going other places. Some of the richest teams have failed, causing thousands of angry fans, while one of the league's poorest teams has shocked the world. But because of a recent incident, even their fans are angry. While the angriest fans of them all are so mad, they are currently waging a war on their own franchise and doing everything they can to make their owner's life a nightmare. The Oakland A's are the worst team in baseball, but according to many, that is exactly what their ownership wants. They have the lowest batting average in the league, have the lowest slugging percentage, have the least amount of hits, have scored the least runs, while also giving up the most runs, walked the most batters, according to the metrics, have the worst defense, and are on pace to finish the season with a negative 391 run differential. That would be the worst of all time by over 40 runs. In April, A's ownership announced their plan was to move the team to Vegas, and ever since, A's fans have done everything they can to stop them. In the parking lot before a game, they organized an event allowing anyone to throw tomatoes at pictures of the owner. A coffee shop in Lake Tahoe, where the owner's family owns a home, has officially banned him, even putting up a sign in the store that says, John Fisher. The A's let kids run the bases after a game. The kids started chanting, "Sell the team." They put signs roasting ownership in the outfield. MLB didn't like this negative attention and cropped these signs out during highlights of a home run. A's fans called them out and embarrassed them so much, MLB was forced to apologize. And most famously, they organized a reverse protest night. The day before, less than 5,000 people came to the game. On the day of the protest, over 27,000 people showed up. They did a fan-organized giveaway, distributing thousands of free t-shirts to the thousands of fans who gathered in the parking lot before the game. They chanted "Sell the team" throughout the game, and then, in the fifth, they went dead silent for an entire batter. After the at-bat, they went back to screaming. At least one fan ran onto the field. After the game, they threw trash on the field. But the A's played amazing and ended up upsetting the Rays, who had the best record in baseball at the time. However, the very next day, the A's announced a bill passed that got public funding for a stadium in Vegas. Since that punch in the face, A's fans have gone even harder. They've taken the protests on the road, chanting "Sell the team" at the All-Star game, chanted it in Colorado, chanted it in Los Angeles, organized a joint protest in San Francisco and chanted it there, and even organized another reverse protest in Oakland. Days before the protest, the A's raised the price of tickets for this game, receiving major backlash, but say this was just their automated system that raised prices due to the higher demand. Either way, 37,000 people came to the game, the most for a game in Oakland all year, and once again, they were chanting that same exact thing in Cincinnati just a year ago. But then, Elly De La Cruz changed everything. Since 2020, nearly all of the Reds' best players were either traded or left in free agency. In 2022, they lost 100 games. Fans were showing up to games with bags on their heads. In April of this season, they set a franchise record low in attendance when only 7,500 fans showed up to a game. On June 6th, they had a 3.4% chance to make the playoffs. That was the day Elly De La Cruz got called up. The crowd looked like this. He immediately hit a double, and the Reds upset the Dodgers on a walk-off by another rookie, Matt McClain. The next day, De La Cruz hit his first homer and a triple where he ran to third faster than any other major leaguer has this year. Later in the game, another rookie, Will Benson, hit a walk-off to shock the Dodgers again. After calling up De La Cruz, the Reds went on a 14-2 tear going into a series against the Braves. 2 months since setting a franchise record low in attendance, they set a franchise record high in attendance by selling 126,000 tickets over a 3-game series. In that series, Elly De La Cruz hit for the cycle in only his 15th career game, leading an insane comeback against the Braves, extending their winning streak to 12. De La Cruz continued to make history. 2 weeks later, he stole second, then stole third, then stole home, and did it in 2 pitches. That hasn't happened in over 50 years. He made more headlines when he came to the plate with this. This is illegal. The Nationals made a big deal about it and pointed it out to the umpires, who made Elly take the bat knob off. This knob usually has a sensor in it to track swing data, which is technology that is illegal to use in games. But De La Cruz likes the feel of the bat with it on, so he's been taking the sensor out and just using the casing with nothing in it on his bat knob. Since the technology is removed, this actually is legal. The umpires were informed during the game, so the next time he came to the plate, he had it on. He hit an absolute bomb, started pointing to the bat knob to rub it in the Nationals' face, and got Elly chants as he rounded the bases in an away stadium. Going into the season, the Reds had a 1.7% chance to make the playoffs. Right now, they're only a half game back of a playoff spot. Safe to say, Reds fans are no longer pissed at ownership. However, the first place Orioles fans are. In July, their broadcaster said something live on the air that got him indefinitely suspended. This has caused protests at the stadium and backlash from across the league.
But you embarrassed the guy for no reason. And most importantly, you embarrassed yourself. What you did is disgraceful to the business. Disgraceful.
The incident occurred during a game versus the Rays. The Orioles were trying to gain sole possession of first place after the All-Star break for the first time in over 7 years. They've surprised everyone this year because of guys like Cedric Mullins, who last week robbed a home run to save the game, then hit a home run to win the game an inning later. Their young catcher Adley Rutschman, who hit a ton of bombs in the home run derby batting lefty, then started batting righty and hit even more bombs. The best closer in the league, Felix Bautista, who's striking out 47.8 of the batters he's faced, as well as the splash zone, where fans get sprayed with water every time there's a big moment, the sprinkler, which is done at second every time they hit a double, as well as the dong bong in the dugout for any Orioles player who hits a home run. Right now, liking the Orioles is exciting, but they've been terrible for years, which is why their broadcaster Kevin Brown said this.
It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field.
According to reports, Orioles ownership thought that pointing out the Orioles' past struggles was enough to suspend him indefinitely. More information started coming out that claimed that Orioles ownership had banned announcers from talking about Adam Jones, Manny Machado, Buck Showalter, and more just because they weren't on the team anymore. They weren't allowed to mention how Dean Kramer and Bruce Zimmerman got on the team just because the Orioles had to trade Manny Machado and Kevin Gausman to get them. This became a national story and embarrassment for the Orioles, who announced Kevin Brown would return to the booth, which did not stop Orioles fans from protesting with signs and chanting "Free Kevin Brown" throughout the game. The Orioles started the season with a 1.3% chance to win the division. As of today, they're still winning the division, and as upset as their fans got, it's nothing compared to the Yankees. They're in last, and their season has been a nightmare that keeps getting worse. It started with multiple strange cheating fiascos, beginning with Domingo Germán, who was caught with a sticky substance, but for some reason wasn't ejected. Fast forward a month, and Aaron Judge was seen on the broadcast peeking out of the corner of his eye. This caused widespread speculation of sign stealing. The Blue Jays believed the Yankees' first base coach was stepping way out of the coach's box to get a view of the pitcher's grip, saw what pitch he was going to throw, then communicated the pitch type to the batter, who peeked out of the corner of their eye. So the next day, when the Blue Jays noticed the Yankees' third base coach was out of the coaching box, they called him out. The Yankees started screaming back, and the Blue Jays manager called somebody a fat boy. The umpire made the third base coach go back into the box, but the very next inning, the Yankees started yelling at the Blue Jays because their coach was out of the box. The umpires had to settle it and made sure all the coaches stayed in the box. Ironically enough, in this very same game, Domingo Germán got caught with a sticky substance again and got ejected. A few days later, another Yankees pitcher was caught with a sticky substance on his hand, but even with all this hoopla, the Yankees were playing great until this happened. Fernando Tatis Jr. bumped into Anthony Rizzo. He awkwardly shoved Tatis in response and was shaken up, but Rizzo seemed okay and continued to play for 2 months. When the Yankees found out, he had been playing with a concussion this entire time. Rizzo was passing concussion tests, but says he felt dizzy, hungover, and forgetful. He went from being one of the league's best hitters to literally being the worst, due to a concussion he had no idea he had. Over that 2-month span, the Yankees went from a playoff team to a last place team. Aaron Judge got injured. Giancarlo Stanton got injured. Their big-time free agent signing Carlos Rodon was injured until July, came back, pitched bad, got heckled by his own fans, and blew a kiss at them. Less than a month later, he got injured again. Probably the best moment of the season happened in Oakland when Domingo Germán, who had an ERA over 5, threw the 24th perfect game in Major League history. Less than a month later, he's essentially off the team. After, according to reports, he allegedly showed up to the clubhouse intoxicated, fought with his teammates, fought with the manager, flipped a couch, smashed a TV, was taken to a sauna to sweat the alcohol out, then was taken into the team nap room and watched by security until he left. Afterwards, he was placed on the restricted list, voluntarily checked into rehab, and will likely not pitch again for the rest of the year. And all of this negativity may have contributed to this amazing meltdown by Aaron Boone. After, according to umpire scorecard, this umpire missed 17 strike calls. Aaron Boone lost it, saying, "Laz, what the fuck are you doing?" He was ejected, then went even crazier, telling the umpire, "You fucking stink," over and over again. The umpire responded by saying, "You f***ing stink." Then Aaron Boone went to the plate, got on his knee to draw a line in the dirt, got up and mocked the ump by making a hilarious strike 3 call. After coming back and talking even more trash, the umpire told him to go, and he finally did. As of now, the Yankees making the playoffs is a long shot. However, the other team in New York is even worse. The Mets entered the season with the highest payroll in MLB history, 5 times more than the first place Baltimore Orioles. They had the 2 highest paid players of all time on the same team. Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer got paid more than 4 teams' entire rosters. Each of them is making more than the entire Tampa Bay Rays pitching staff combined. In total, the Mets spent over $100 million just on pitching. According to WAR, they have the second worst pitching staff in the league. They entered the season with a 77% chance to make the playoffs. Today, they have a 0.8% chance. Scherzer and Verlander, however, are in the middle of a playoff race that has already led to 1 fight. The Mets shocked many in August by trading their 2 highest paid pitchers for prospects. Shortly after, an anonymous Mets player supposedly told the New York Post that Verlander had a, quote, diva attitude that caused Scherzer and others to have problems with him. However true that is, today, they're literally rivals. Scherzer was sent to Texas. They finished last 3 out of the last 5 years, but even with Jacob deGrom getting injured, they had the lowest ERA among starters while also scoring the 2nd most runs in the league. They've held first place the entire season. Verlander was sent to Houston, who were massive favorites going into the year. They've lost Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez for a huge part of the season, lost 2 of their best starters for the season, but going into this game in July, they had a chance to finally get into first. Things got testy when Andrew Heaney almost hit Yordan Alvarez in the head. 2 innings later, the Astros nailed Marcus Semien with a pitch which he believed was retaliation. Semien would later get his revenge and save the division lead when he hit this 2-run bomb to go up 6-3. He stared down the pitcher and talked trash to the catcher as he was touching home. The Rangers continued to pour it on, and after this grand slam, went up 13-3. Marcus Semien scored again and had more words for the Astros, starting an altercation that caused the benches to clear. As of now, the Rangers, who have been amazing, are still holding a tight lead on the Astros, who are amazing. And with the new acquisitions of Scherzer and Verlander, who apparently don't like each other, mixed with these two teams who we know don't like each other, this race could get very interesting. Kind of like in this game in Cleveland, which ended with a player getting knocked out cold during one of the worst stretches for a team you'll ever see. 2 weeks leading up to this, they traded their best pitcher, traded their best reliever, traded their second best hitter. Their most disappointing player, Lance Lynn, also got traded. Since leaving, he's absolutely dominated for a different team. They also traded Kenyon Middleton, who immediately after trashed the White Sox, saying the team is a mess, claiming a pitcher would literally sleep in the bullpen, players skipped practice, and nobody ever got in trouble. When Middleton returned to play the White Sox, the team didn't even show his name on the scoreboard. This seemed like revenge for his comment, but the White Sox say this was just a glitch in the system. During this span, they also had the notorious Anderson Ramirez face-off, which started the game before on this play where Tim Anderson made a tag that knocked the runner's hand off the base. After review, he was called out. The Guardians thought this was a dirty play by Anderson. Jose Ramirez says Anderson has made dirty tags like this in the past, and apparently also wasn't happy with Anderson for talking trash to his teammate Gabriel Arias. In the fourth, he hit a double and thought his tag was too hard again. Stood up, stuck a finger in his face, he dropped his glove to square off, and Jose Ramirez proceeded to
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
Ramirez has essentially become a Cleveland folk hero for this. Tim Anderson, not so much. The Guardians minor league team did a Jose Ramirez appreciation night where anyone with the name Tim got in for free, but they had to sit down on the lawn. Anderson got suspended 6 games while Ramirez only got 2 because he instigated it, and to make matters even worse, a few days later, another report claims Anderson also got into a fight with teammate Yasmani Grandal, who according to the story wanted to leave for the All-Star break a day early. Tim Anderson allegedly responded by saying, quote, "F that, if he wants to leave, I'll pay for his flight." Then, Grandal confronted Anderson and slapped him in the face. With these recent events and trades, the White Sox are on the brink of a rebuild despite only a few years ago being considered one of the most talented teams in baseball. The Angels also have that problem. In fact, they've had 2 of the most talented players of all time for 6 years and haven't made the playoffs once. Going into this season, they knew if they don't win this year, Otani is almost without a doubt leaving in free agency. Knowing they had to either make the playoffs or lose everything, they went for it. Otani started the season as arguably the most dominant pitcher in the league, posting an ERA under 2 while allowing a league-low 102 batting average in April. By the end of May, he had already hit 15 home runs. The Angels were hovering around 500, but in June, he emerged as hands down the best hitter in the game. He led the league in homers, RBIs, on-base percentage, WRC+, slugging percentage, and WAR, while also pitching 30 innings with a 3.26 ERA. He won Player of the Month in what MLB.com said may be the single greatest month in MLB history. Towards the end of June, the Angels climbed their way into a playoff spot, but in July, things started to go south. First, their shortstop got hurt. Then, Gio Urshela got hurt. Desperate to win now, the Angels almost immediately traded for 2 infielders. Things got worse. On July 3rd, Mike Trout went down. The very next day, Anthony Rendon was injured in the middle of a stretch where the Angels went 1-10, taking their playoff odds from 46% to 8.5% in only 11 games. Rumors of a trade started swirling.
You got to move him. You can't let him walk for nothing.
Knowing that Otani is almost certainly gone after this year, trading him for prospects seemed like a logical thing to do.
And by not trading Shohei Otani right now, this could be a 7 to 8 year problem.
The entire baseball world debated. The Angels got hot, but their playoff odds were still only 15% when they shocked everyone. Not only did they announce they were keeping Otani, they also traded for all-star Lucas Giolito. The very next day, Otani pitched a complete game shutout in the first game of a doubleheader, then hit 2 bombs in the second game, in what MLB.com said may be the single greatest one-day performance in MLB history. Right after, they added 2 more solid hitters in CJ Cron and Randal Grichuk. Going into the trade deadline with momentum and the baseball world behind them, they immediately lost 11 out of 14 games. Mike Trout and Rendon have still yet to return, and the Angels' playoff odds have sunk to 0.5%. With Otani on his way to winning another unanimous MVP, the biggest question in MLB now becomes, what team is Otani going to next?